What if I told you that the most celebrated films in cinema history are often the ones that broke every rule? Strictly Ballroom, a film that defied Australian cinema conventions, and Cronos, which reinvented the vampire genre, prove that rule-breaking wins. But those are just the warm-up, because hidden among the top three is a film that redefined a legendary director's signature style, blending genres so audaciously that critics didn't know how to react. Stay tuned. Imagine a world where dancing isn't just about winning, it's about rebellion. That's the world of Strictly Ballroom, a film that waltzed in and broke every rule of the Australian film industry. At number 5 on our list, this movie defied expectations at every turn. When director Baz Luhrmann pitched his debut feature, he was told no one would care about ballroom dancing. He proved them spectacularly wrong. Filmed on a shoestring budget of just $3 million, the movie went on to gross over $80 million worldwide. But the real surprise? Luhrmann wrote the script while still in film school, inspired by his own experiences as a young dancer. He wanted to capture the raw, unfiltered passion of stepping onto the floor. The film's iconic red dress? It cost a mere $50 from a thrift store. Yet on screen, it became a symbol of defiance. The lead actor, Paul Mercurio, was actually a professional dancer, not an actor. His lack of acting experience brought an authenticity that no trained performer could replicate. On the other side, Tara Morais had never danced before. She learned the steps in just 3 weeks, her nerves mirroring her character's journey. The film's emotional core? It's not just about winning, it's about finding the courage to dance your own steps, even when everyone says you can't. That resonated with audiences worldwide. Critics were divided, some called it campy, others praised its heart. But the audience spoke louder. At the 1992 Cannes Film Festival, the film earned a standing ovation that lasted over 10 minutes. It went on to win 7 Australian Film Institute awards, including Best Film. The film's impact on pop culture, it sparked a global resurgence in ballroom dancing, inspiring countless dance schools to open, and it launched Luhrmann's career, setting the stage for Romeo plus Juliet and Moulin Rouge. But Strictly Ballroom remains his most personal film. Because it's about more than dancing, it's about breaking free. When the final dance scene plays, you feel it in your bones. That's why it's number 5. It's a film that proves rebellion isn't just loud, it can be graceful too. If you thought Dancing with Danger was intense, what comes next makes this look like a waltz in the park. Imagine a monster that doesn't thirst for blood but for a mechanical heart. Cronos, Guillermo del Toro's debut feature, is a vampire film without fangs. It follows an antique dealer who discovers a golden scarab that grants immortality, if you can stomach the cost. This isn't your typical creature feature. It's a meditation on aging, greed, and the lengths we go to cheat death. Del Toro was only 29 when he made it, raising a tiny budget of $2 million from Mexican investors. He shot the entire film in a disused furniture warehouse in Mexico City, building sets out of scrap. The lead actor, Federico Lupi, insisted on performing his own stunts even during the scene where he lies in a tub of blood, which was actually diluted corn syrup and food coloring. Critical reception was ecstatic. Roger Ebert called it a wonderful surprise, a movie that takes vampire conventions and turns them inside out. But at the box office, it barely made a splash in the US. That's the tragedy of Cronos. It's a visionary work dismissed in its time. Yet audiences who discovered it on video are fierce advocates. The film won the Ariel Award for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor. Its emotional impact is subtle. You root for a man losing his humanity one mechanical tick at a time. Del Toro said he wanted to create a monster with a childlike soul, and he did. Cronos lands at number 4 because it broke the rule that a horror film can't be tender. It proves that a debut can feel like the work of a master. Watch it. You'll never see immortality the same way again. But what comes next makes this delicate horror look tame. The next film on our list took a single taboo and twisted it into a masterpiece. You'll need to brace yourself. A merchant banker marries a woman from a different social class. It sounds like a simple love story, but Howard's End is anything but simple. This is a film that breaks every rule of storytelling. and wins. From the very first scene, we're thrown into a world where nothing is black and white. The Schlegel sisters, Helen and Margaret, are intellectual, free-spirited. They meet the Wilcoxes, a wealthy but emotionally repressed family. The clash of values is immediate. But here's the twist. Director James Ivory doesn't pick sides. He forces us to sympathize with both. What makes Howard's End unique is its refusal to follow traditional narrative arcs. There's no clear hero or villain, the plot meanders, then suddenly tightens. A stolen umbrella, a secret pregnancy, a shocking death, each event feels inevitable yet unexpected. The film's big theme is connection. Only connect, Margaret pleads, but the connections are messy, painful, and sometimes impossible. Behind the scenes, the casting was a stroke of genius. Anthony Hopkins wasn't the first choice for Henry Wilcox. They wanted an actor with more warmth, but Hopkins brought a chilling restraint. Emma Thompson, who plays Margaret, was so determined to get the role that she wrote letters to the producer. She won an Oscar for her performance. The real surprise? The house that inspired Howard's End was actually a composite of several locations. The filmmakers couldn't find a single estate that fit, so they built sets in 3 different English country houses. Audiences were moved. The film made over $26 million domestically, a huge success for a period drama. Critics called it a masterpiece of empathy. At number 3 on this list, Howard's End earns its place because it proves that a film can break every rule and still touch the soul. It's a quiet revolution. The emotional payoff is overwhelming. You walk away feeling that life is complicated, but worth it. This is a film that doesn't give you easy answers. It gives you truth. Howard's End matters because it reminds us that connecting with others is the only thing that saves us. And the feeling it leaves? A strange, haunting hope. If you thought this film's emotional restraint was intense, what comes next makes it look like child's play. The next film shattered expectations in a way you won't see coming. She wanted to be her. She wanted her life, her clothes, her boyfriend. And she would do anything to get them. Single White Female didn't just scare audiences, it made them paranoid. Released in 1992, the psychological thriller grossed over $48 million domestically on a modest $10 million budget. That's nearly 5 times its cost. But the real shocker? The film was almost never made. Originally, director Barbet Schroeder wanted a different ending. One where the protagonist, Allie, survives alone, but the final shot would show a third roommate moving in, suggesting the cycle of obsession continues. Test audiences hated it, too bleak. So Schroeder reshot the ending, giving Allie a decisive victory. That change turned a cult curiosity into a box office hit. Bridget Fonda, playing Allie, was already known, but the role that truly terrified audiences was Jennifer Jason Leigh as Hetty. Leigh immersed herself so deeply that she stayed in character between takes, speaking in Hetty's voice, wearing Hetty's thrift store clothes. She even went to a New York employment agency dressed as Hetty, just to study how people reacted. The result? A performance so unsettling that Leigh received no Oscar nomination, genre bias, critics said, but the film earned a permanent place in thriller history. What makes Single White Female unique is its inverted mirror. The villain isn't a monster from outside, it's the girl next door. Hetty copies Allie down to the same haircut. That scene, where Allie walks into the bathroom and sees her own reflection, but it's Hetty, is one of cinema's most chilling moments. The film played on era-specific fears, the newly popular internet, anonymous dating, and the illusion of privacy in shared living spaces. In 1992, the idea of a roommate stealing your identity felt terrifyingly plausible, yet the film broke rules by making the victim complicit. Allie isn't merely innocent, she's flawed, selfish, and blinded by her own loneliness. The movie refuses simple evil versus good, and that ambiguity is why it's ranked number 2 on this list. It doesn't just scare you, it makes you question your own judgment. What's left after the credits roll? A lingering unease. The feeling that someone might be watching, that your reflection might not be yours. Single White Female matters because it forced us to confront the stranger within, and the one right next to us. If you thought this was intense, wait until you see what comes next. The film that takes rule-breaking to a whole new level, where the only thing more shocking than the premise is the true story behind it. Imagine a disease so rare that most doctors have never seen it. A parent's nightmare. Your child's brain is slowly destroying itself and the medical establishment offers only a hopeless shrug. That's the gut punch opening of Lorenzo's Oil. But what happens next is anything but conventional. This is a film that didn't just break the rules, it rewrote them. Based on a true story, it follows Augusto and Michaela O'Donnell, who refuse to accept their son Lorenzo's fatal diagnosis of adrenoleukodystrophy. They dive into medical research, clash with doctors, and discover a treatment, a simple oil mixture, that the system ignored. The film's most shocking fact? The real-life Odones were portrayed by Nick Nolte and Susan Sarandon, both of whom took pay cuts to join the project. Director George Miller, known for Mad Max, insisted on scientific accuracy. He even had the script peer-reviewed by neurologists. Yet the film polarized critics. Some called it manipulative, others, a masterpiece. The emotional gut punch is undeniable. Audiences wept in theaters, and the real Lorenzo lived for 22 more years because of his parents' fight. What makes this film number one? It defied every Hollywood rule. It's a medical drama without a cure, a family saga without a villain, and a tearjerker that demands you think, not just feel. It turned passive viewers into activists. After the film, ALD screening programs launched worldwide. The irony, the very system that failed Lorenzo was the one the film forced to change. That's not just storytelling, that's revolution. By the final frame, you're not crying for Lorenzo. You're crying for the power of a parent's love and the terrifying truth that sometimes breaking the rules is the only way to survive. These 5 films are rebels with a cause. They prove that when you break the rules with conviction, innovation, and heart, you don't just survive, you win. They celebrate the audacity to be different, the courage to challenge convention, and the truth that cinema's most unforgettable moments come from artists who dare to say what if instead of what's safe. Which of these rule breakers hit you the hardest, and why? Drop your pick below. I'm ready for a debate. If you enjoyed this countdown, smash like and subscribe so we can keep celebrating the films that dared to be different. We'll see you in the next one.